Hello everyone, my name is Diana Kaiwa, and I will be diving into the Open Source Intelligence Lab where I decided to go with Tesla as a Fortune 500 company. I will be going into more of the findings throughout this presentation. I will also be exhibiting the passive reconnaissance stage within the cyber operations. So going through the cyber operations stage, talking about OSINT, talking about Maltego, and other tools that were involved. I will also present my findings on the company, the CEO, the C-suite officer, and also examine the attack vector that will be taking place, and then from there, creating the attack and discussing the legal requirements, the email, and also the Christian ethical considerations as well. Also, please note that everything that I will be going over and being discussed or performed within this presentation was done through a simulation, and this email phishing attack was never actually sent. This presentation, of course, is for educational purposes. So let's get into it. So I'll start off here by discussing what cyber operation this specific lab is falling under, and the stage that we're in primarily is a reconnaissance stage, and more specifically the passive reconnaissance stage. Before this, of course, we're in the target identification phase, and the reason I mention this is because there is the time taken to figure out who is being targeted. And for the passive reconnaissance stage, the goal here is to utilize open source intelligence tools to profile an organization and the people. This was primarily done for this lab through OSINT tools and Maltego. Maltego was what's helping provide those graph visuals to formulate those connections between the entities. And then according to CYB-610 2025, those in the stage must also be skilled at using resources like WHOIS databases, DNS records, and social media platforms to extract valuable insights without the direct system interaction. And as you probably have noticed, this stage is not intrusive, and it makes sure to not interact with the systems directly. So that means scans, testings, and so forth weren't needed to be run through the stage. And then to prepare for the active reconnaissance stage, there must be a clear idea of what will be the attack vector. So as preparation, it was a good idea to look at email structures, subdomains, and so forth to see what could be vulnerable to exploitation. Alright, so the target that was chosen out of the Fortune 500 company was Tesla, and it was the main target here. And from there, I had used OSINT tool to first understand the company and what it was about. From this research, I learned that Tesla is an American branded electric vehicle company who is striving for clean energy through the vision of Elon Musk, who is a primary founder of this company. So it was founded in 2003 alongside other engineers as well. And I was able to also find out that Tesla was headquartered in Austin, Texas, and manufactures electric cars, solar panels, and other similar projects. And there were a lot of information that was able to be found from just a simple search engine through the use of Google. And I was also even able to dive even deeper by finding more information about Elon Musk through the OSINT tools and also through the Maltego's tool as well. As you can see here, I was able to even find some of his emails that will be used later on in the attack that I will be showing you. So here I'm just continuing on with my research findings, and I wanted to start off here by saying I went ahead and did use the Maltego to start off the search for the domain of Tesla.com, and then from there I used its transform tools to get the subdomains next. So as you can tell, it just keeps going down. So basically I was able to find out that there is also email addresses attached to it, and then I was able to retrieve the DNS mail server MX, and then also the DNS name server as well. And I was also able to generate a report of the findings, as you can see to the right, and this kind of just laid out the information from the graph in a further detail, so it's much more visual, more clear as well. And then also the OSINT tool, I was able to extrapolate the IP addresses as well for Tesla.com. So I was then able to keep collecting more information by breaking down the DNS name servers IP addresses, along with a further breakdown I had made through this tool to find the domains as well. So I realized that the high amount of associated domains indicated that having this method of attack done through here wouldn't have been a good idea, since it seems that the servers or systems are quite secure. This is why I decided to go through the route of email servers. And however, before I did this, I did research into Tesla's members and then chose a C-suite officer that I'll be discussing further in detail. So this is where I utilized the OSINT tool and used the search engine tool to find information about the team members of Tesla. And that's where I was able to find which C-suite officer would be the best choice as a sub-target during my research for the upcoming spear phishing email attack that I was going to compose. So I was able to come across Lars Moravi, who seemed like the adequate choice here as a sub-target, since I was able to notice right away that he didn't have a background in cybersecurity, computer science, or any technology field. And the reason this is good is because he won't be as cautious or as suspicious when it comes to coming across a spear phishing email. And then there's more information that I had collected that you will see in the next slide that further indicates that he was a good choice as a sub-target. I was then able to do further research into Lars Morave with the use of OSINT and its different tools such as the search engine, email verification, and so on. I was able to then collect a profile on Lars Morave, which would later be useful for when I was creating my spear phishing email. So through his social media like LinkedIn and Twitter, and alongside with the other gathered information through the use of OSINT, I found out that Lars Morave is a senior vice president of engineering in the electrical automotive vehicle at Tesla company. So he is known for his robust and long career within the world of automotive engineering. And he is part of Tesla's decisions in adopting new engineering technologies and methods. He also resides in Oakland, California, and he studied at Northwestern University to get his bachelor's in mechanical engineering. So from there, I knew, okay, he's not in the IT world, and he didn't have much background in it. So that means that he won't be as offensive when receiving a spear phishing email. And he also most likely is used to getting random emails from corporate and even from third-party vendors. So he wouldn't be surprised to get another random email, and especially from the CEO himself. So this information also helped me to cultivate a personable email as well. And I also was able to find out his email address and his work email address through this, which would be helpful when I'm creating that spear phishing email attack. So now that I have collected all this information, I utilized all of my tools. The spear phishing email was ready to be formulated. So with this email, I had sent it to Lars Morave's email that I was able to retrieve earlier, as you had seen. And I did have it come from Elon Musk, who I learned is the CEO and would be the one who would be sending the email like this. So as you could tell from the beginning, I was able to get information on Elon Musk. I was also able to go into in depth who Lars Morave was. And from there, I was able to cultivate a effective email, which there are a couple of reasons as why it would be effective. One of them being is that it's coming from a source that had researched and found all the information for, and also verified it to make sure everything was accurate. I also made this email personable and compassionate, since I was writing it in a more formal and professional, but also in a conversational manner. Just so I can let him know that I'm recognizing his role, that he must be taking on a lot of pressures of all the different projects that he would be handling. I also utilized the OSINT tool to use the search engines to find the actual project designs that Lars Morave is working on, and I actually found out that it is the Model Y. So from there, I researched more into it online to see what discrepancies would be found in a model like this, so that my terminology sounded accurate and knowledgeable when it was coming from Elon Musk. I wanted to give some information on the model to show that it is someone who is aware of the project. So another reason was I placed an urgency into this as well. And I also threw in another task, which was the phone call. If you read through it, you can notice that I also said, hey, there's going to be another phone call. And this just shows that, hey, the CEO is someone who is giving you tasks to do, and this is something that he would do. So I was trying to make it not look as suspicious and then draw away the suspicion from the link. I didn't want it to be just on that link. I wanted to bring in another task, make him be aware that, hey, this is Elon Musk, he's aware of what's going on in the project, and he was just trying to inform him of what's going on, gave him a little bit of information on the model, what the team had discussed, just so that he's aware, and then, hey, look at the report to go through it in more detail, and then to also have a mock-up ready for Elon by the time he comes back into the office the next day, morning of Monday. So this was just kind of a way that this would be an effective way of doing the spear phishing email. Of course, this was never actually sent, and it was just for educational purposes. So lastly, I wanted to talk about the Christian perspective, legal authorities, and ethical considerations that you must keep in mind when doing a penetration test. So of course, this whole thing was a simulation. It was for educational purposes. And basically, when we're doing penetration testing, these are a few things that we have to keep in mind. So starting off, Christian perspective. We need to uphold that love thy neighbor perspective, especially coming from the Romans 12:10 verse of love one another with brotherly affection, outdo one another in showing honor. So that just means that we should make sure that we're following characteristics such as honesty, fairness, and stewardship towards one another. Another thing is following legal authorities, the CFAA, and laws such as the CFFA should be followed by and adhered to, such as also the data protection laws, such as the HIPAA and so on. These are really important just because we need to comply to these types of legal authorities, since following this can also help with following the Christian and ethical considerations. So with ethical considerations, we need to be mindful of having integrity and respect and love for one another. So making sure that we're doing things in the ethical manner, and not doing things that are, going past the boundaries or the guidelines, because that would be going into the territory of an actual hacker who is not upholding any of these characteristics mentioned, and that can be sentenced into imprisonment. It can lead to fines, a lot of different things. So it's best to be mindful of it and make sure that we do everything and are knowledgeable of that, and have the characteristics with ourselves and with others to make sure that we don't go past that boundaries, and we're doing the penetration testing for its benefits to improve the organization's security posture overall.